Hello, my name's David. I'm reading a story every night this week as part of the City Council's big reading challenge. I want to raise money for the Imagination Library, a charity that gives free books to children in Nottingham. Reading is so important for children, and that's why I'm going to read a story tonight and every night this week. It's called My Father's Dragon by Ruth Stiles Gannett. One cold rainy day, when my father was a little boy, he met an old alley cat in his street. The cat was very drippy and uncomfortable, so my father said, "Wouldn't you like to come home with me?" This surprised the cat. She had never before met anyone who cared about old alley cats, but she said, "I'd be very much obliged if I could sit by a warm fire and perhaps have a saucer of milk." "We have a very nice fire to sit by," said my father, "and I'm sure my mother has an extra saucer of milk." My father and the cat became good friends, but my father's mother was very upset about the cat. She hated cats, particularly old, ugly alley cats. "Elmer Elevator," she said to my father, "if you think I'm going to give a cat that saucer of milk, you're very wrong. Once you start feeding stray alley cats, you might as well expect to feed every stray in the town, and I am not going to do it." This made my father really sad, and he apologized to the cat because his mother had been so rude. He told the cat to stay anyway, and that somehow he would bring her a saucer of milk every day. My father fed the cat for 3 weeks, but one day his mother found the cat's saucer in the cellar, and she was extremely angry. She threw the cat out of the door, but later my father sneaked out and found the cat. Together they went for a walk in the park and tried to think of all the nice things to talk about that they could find. My father said, "When I grow up, I'm going to have an aeroplane. Wouldn't it be wonderful to fly off just anywhere you could think of?" "Would you like to fly very, very much?" asked the cat. "Oh, I certainly would. I'd do anything if I could fly." "Well," said the cat, "if you'd really like to fly that much, I think I know a sort of way that might get you to fly while you're still a little boy." "You mean you know I could get an airplane?" "Well, not exactly an airplane, but something even better. As you can see, I'm an old cat now, but in my younger days I was quite a traveller. My travelling days are over, but last spring I took one more trip, and I sailed to the island of Tangerina, stopping at the port of Cranberry. I was particularly impressed in a place called Wild Island, which we had passed on our way to Tangerina. Wild Island and Tangerina are joined together by a long string of rocks, but people never go to Wild Island because it's mostly jungle and inhabited by very wild animals. So I decided to go across the rocks and explore it for myself. It certainly was an interesting place, but I saw something there that made me want to weep. Wild Island is practically cut in two by a very wide and muddy river. Now the animals that live there are very lazy, and they used to hate having to go all the way round the beginning of this river to get to the other side of the island. One day, about 4 months before I arrived on Wild Island, a baby dragon fell from a low-flying cloud onto the bank of the river. He was too young to fly very well, and besides he had bruised one wing badly, so he couldn't get back onto his cloud. They tied a big rope around his neck and waited for his wing to get well. This was going to end all their crossing the river troubles. I've never seen a dragon, said my father. Did you see him? How big is he? Oh, yes, indeed, I saw the dragon. In fact, we became great friends, said the cat. I used to hide in the bushes and talk to him when nobody was around. He's not a very big dragon, about the size of a large black bear, although I imagine he's grown a bit since I left. He's got a long tail and yellow and blue stripes, and his horn and eyes and the bottoms of his feet are bright red, and he has gold-coloured wings. Oh, how wonderful, said my father. What did the animals do with him when his wind got well? They started to train him to carry passengers. And even though he's just a baby dragon, they work him all day and all night sometimes. He's always tied to a rope just long enough to go across the river. And his only friends are the crocodiles, who say hello to him once a week if they don't forget. Really, he's the most miserable animal I ever came across. Anyway, when you were talking about airplanes, you gave me a good idea. Now, I'm quite sure if you were able to rescue the dragon, which wouldn't be the least bit easy, he'd let you ride him almost anywhere, provided you were nice to him, of course. How about trying it? I'd love to, said my father, and he was so angry at his mother for being rude to the cat that he didn't feel the least bit sad about running away from home for a while. That afternoon, my father and the cat went down to the docks to see about ships going to the island of Tangerina. They found out that a ship would be sailing the next week, so right away they started planning for the rescue of the dragon. The cat was a great help in suggesting things for my father to take with him, and she told him everything she knew about Wild Island. Of course, she was too old to go along. Everything had to be kept secret, so when they found or bought anything to take on the trip, they hid it behind a rock in the park. The night before my father sailed, he borrowed his father's knapsack, and he and the cat packed everything very carefully. He took chewing gum, 2 dozen pink lollipops, a package of rubber bands, black rubber boots, a compass, a toothbrush and a tube of toothpaste, 6 magnifying glasses, a very sharp knife, a comb, a hairbrush, 7 hair ribbons of different colours, an empty grain bag with labels saying cranberry, some clean clothes, and enough food to last my father while he was on the ship. He couldn't live on mice, so he took 25 peanut butter and jam sandwiches and 6 apples, because that's all the number of apples he could find in the pantry. When everything was packed, my father and the cat went down to the docks on a ship. A night watchman was on duty, so while the cat made loud noises to distract his attention, my father ran over the gangplank onto the ship. He went down into the hold and hid among the bags of wheat. The ship sailed early the next morning. And that's where we leave the story tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Find out what happens to Elmer tomorrow night. And if any parents or carers would like to sponsor our big reading challenge, please go to the GoFundMe website on screen so we can get even more stories to even more of our Nottingham children. Thank you.